Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to a bonus video in the 25 Days of Linux series. So, I wanted to make a quick video, maybe addressing a few little things that were a little off in the series. Not things I necessarily got wrong, but things that maybe could use a little more context, stuff like that. And also I just wanted to make a few little changes to my system, and I thought that's always the kind of thing that seems interesting in these sorts of videos. A few things that I did want to mention. First of all though, Ranger, an app that I made a video about, and in the video, I don't know if I said that Ranger wasn't all that customizable, or maybe I just said that I don't customize it that much. That's not necessarily true. There is a lot you can do with Ranger, and one thing I should have focused on maybe a little bit more in the actual video. Hang on, let me exit here real quick and make my font bigger. If we go into Ranger, one thing I maybe should have brought up is that this command mode here is super powerful. One, it takes Vim commands, but it also does take just terminal commands. So you can pipe in a move command here, or you can pipe in a copy command if you don't know the Vim bindings. So that makes it super easy to use as a new user. I didn't bring it up because I actually didn't really know that it was that powerful that it could incorporate commands from the console into the file manager itself. But that's a great feature, seems totally worth knowing. But one other thing I wanted to do, maybe try to get icons working in Ranger, because that's something that you should be able to do pretty easily. Let's open up a web browser here. If we search for like Ranger dev cons, came across this a little bit earlier and somebody else mentioned that they also do it. And I think that's a great idea. If you notice in this picture here, it's basically using, I'm pretty sure it uses nerd font. Yeah, it's using nerd fonts to generate icons, script icons, Python icons, JavaScript icons. We can see here PHP icons, Ruby icons, folder icons, all that kind of stuff in the actual file manager itself. And of course, that's great. One of the things I also did in the series was replace my ls command with the LSD program, and it does a very similar thing and just add icons in front of different file types. That's super handy. Totally not necessary, but it's cool. So I guess what we need to do is, it looks like we just need to do a git clone actually, and it looks like it's already cloning into the proper directory for us. One thing you might have to do is cd into the config for Ranger and just make a directory called plugins. And then we should be able to just basically run this command. One thing I am going to do that I always do, almost always, just so that I'm not adding unnecessary clutter, is we'll just add the depth 1 filter to the git clone. That way I'm only downloading the most recent stuff. And I guess maybe if we go ahead and try to run Ranger, oh, yep, it's that easy to set it up. Okay, I kind of want to go into the config for Ranger, into that plugins folder now, and maybe just see what's going on in there. So if I cd into that Ranger dev icons folder, I'm curious if there's any kind of config or anything that could happen. Oh yeah, here it is right here. devicons.py. It looks like it's built on Python, this particular extension, and it does look like you could sort of just drop in and replace the icons, which is very interesting. And it does have a lot that I'm seeing here. It looks like it's doing everything from like freaking Word documents to every kind of script under the sun. They've thought of a lot. All right, so that's cool. Probably should have included that in the original video. Ranger's slightly cooler now. That's dope. One other thing worth addressing here. Actually, before I do that, I just actually found this trick for Vim that, oh man, I gotta show it. It was so cool. Basically, the problem we're trying to address is when you first open up a new Vim window, it has all these tildes aligned on the left side, and they're basically just denoting that like this is a blank line. And as you fill up the document, they all disappear. So if I were to actually open up a full document, for example, my init.vim file, you can see there are no tildes. Even if I go all the way to the bottom, they're all gone because this is a file that's taking up the entirety of our screen real estate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to like my general settings. It doesn't really matter where you put it in the vimrc. And what I can do is I can do set fill chars or fill characters plus equals EOB. And in theory, I could set it to anything, really. What I could do is let's just set it to like the letter A. And I'm pretty sure if I write that, and then if I go back into Vim, you can see it's just basically replaced this with a character. But what we want to do is we want to replace it with nothing. And it took me a little while to figure out how to do this, actually. I just happened to find the fill chars thing when I was screwing around doing something completely different. And I was trying to like fill it with a space. I tried that. That didn't work. It just sends you an error. Basically, what you end up having to do is, it's a little funky, but you want to just add a / slash here, or backslash. I always forget which one is which. Don't call me out in the comments. I don't care. And then what you have to do is add just a blank space right there. Hit escape, save it. So basically what you're doing is you're just escaping that space. And then if we go ahead and exit, go back into Vim, you can see perfectly clean, beautiful Vim window, nice and wonderful. We hit I, we just have this beautiful, nice, clean, not cluttered at all Vim window. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything that happened in this video series, but I imagine there's going to be a few people watching who are into that. One other thing here, let's CD back into that old scripts directory we were talking about before, and let's address the second video in this series. This was a cool little script that I made that I can't imagine why anyone else would really be interested in, but it's basically just a script that allows me to pull down the link for a YouTube thumbnail based on the video ID. We can probably find the video ID for the video in question. Here it is right here, a YouTube thumbnail downloading script. If I wanted to grab that video ID and then I run the command YT, I give it that video ID, and then if I were to just go over to my clipboard, paste it in, you can see it pulls up that image ready to be done whatever with. I can link it to Twitter. I can, there's a lot of reasons I might want to use the thumbnail for a video. This is a very helpful script for me that I use more than you would think, but it could be made better. One thing that I was kind of toying around with the idea of doing in the original video was just having it also download the thumbnail to a location, probably to my downloads folder, right? And it was at that point in the video that somebody in the comments mentioned that what I could probably do is just add a flag to the script so that if I run the script with like -D or something like that, it could download the script, the thumbnail somewhere, and also give me the link. So let's do that. Let's go back into that YT script, and I'll basically just briefly explain how this works. Basically what it's doing is it's taking the video ID as input. The video ID doesn't change. It's generated before your video is even done uploading, right? It's like the most reliable way on YouTube, at least, to identify a video. So I want the video ID. And then what I'm doing to get the link is I'm basically having to create two different variables, a var A and a var B, that are both one part of the link, and then the ID is being sandwiched in between it. So if you see what happens here, I've basically 3 variables that are all just printed all together. They are then run through xclip, which is putting it into the clipboard. And basically what this read ID part is doing is it's just saying whenever you run the script, sit there and wait until they give you an input. I could maybe make this a little more interactive because I do use it a lot, but sometimes there's big gaps in between when I use it and when I don't. So I could maybe make it a little more no nonsense. I'll come up here and I'll do echo, and I'll give myself some instructions, say like paste YouTube video ID below. And then let's also do run with -D flag to save thumbnail to /downloads. So now we just need to actually make that happen. If we were to run the YT script again, you can see what happens. It's saying, hey, give us an input. If we look at what it did, it created a link just with that right there. Go back into the ID script. We don't really want to change anything here because we always want this to be echoing out the actual link and then piping it through xclip. But what we do want to do is we want to set up a little if-then statement just so that if we do have the -D flag, it's going to do something else. So there's a few other ways you could take input, but this is just the first way that I found to do it. The first thing you want to do is you want to do if echo $**, and I'm pretty sure this is basically saying like read the actual command that was run, and then we want to pipe that input through grep. We're going to use grep-e to basically search for -D, and then -q is going to like end that. And what I could do is I could make a comment here and just say like checking for -D flag. Comments are a good thing to do because I create a script, forget what I did, and it's always good to let yourself know what you're doing later on down the road when you're not 100% sure what you were doing the first time. Even if it's something like stupid and simple and you're confident you won't forget it, just make some damn comments. It's not that hard. Basically, then we just need to go ahead and do like the then part of the if statement, the else part of the if statement, and then the fee to finish it, right? So basically what this first if statement part is saying is if when we run the command and you find the -D run with the command, you're going to do whatever is in between the then and the else statement. If you don't find that -D, you're going to run whatever we put in between the else and the fee. So we could go ahead and just in between the else and the fee, we could say echo out, we'll say link added to clipboard, right? And then we could probably echo out the exact same thing because it's still going to add the link to the clipboard, right? But then what we could also do is have it echo out saving thumbnail to /downloads, right? We can probably just use wget, right, to make this happen. I should probably sudo apt install wget. I'm sure it's on Ubuntu. I did switch to Ubuntu finally, by the way. Not sure how long that'll last. So we'll go ahead and do wget, and we'll say -p. I'm pretty sure is how you specify a location location, right? And we're going to say downloads. And then wget is super easy. You just need to give it a link, right? And we already have a way to build a link here, right? This is our formula to build the link. var a, then the reading the ID, and then surrounding it with a var b, and that's our link, right? So what we could do is clear out. We'll go ahead and run YT again. Actually, we need to do YT-D, and let me get a proper video ID to test it here. How about my Void Linux video? How about that one? That was a trip, right? Copy that video ID, and we will paste it in. And we're getting some output from wget, but importantly, if we paste the link in the clipboard, it did indeed open up that thumbnail. And more importantly, if we open up Ranger in our downloads, there is the thumbnail right there. So I guess what we could probably do, I'm pretty sure if you do wwget-help, there's probably a quiet flag or something somewhere that we could use. I don't see it, but why wouldn't there? There's got to be a quiet flag, right? Let's just try it. We'll go back into the YT script, and I guess just right here at the beginning we can do -- quiet. We'll go ahead and run the YT-D again, give it the video ID. Oh, hey, look at that. Okay, so no more wget input. It does put the actual link right there. That is nice. So I think that's probably it for this video. Thanks everybody for watching the 25 Days of Linux series. I think people seem to like it a lot. I actually did have a lot of fun making it, even though I got a little bit bored with a few of the videos, but it was a good time making it. Thanks everyone for watching. That'll be it for this video, everybody. See you in the next one.